According to the United Nations, 152 million children globally are involved in one form of child labor or the other. 88 million of these are boys and 64 million girls. The United Nations says that 40 million people are modern slaves, out of which 25 million are in forced labor, 15 million in forced marriages, and 4 million in sexual exploitation. Nigeria, in an effort to eliminate all forms of child abuse, has launched the Alliance 8.7 campaign to end child labor by 2025.
It is therefore crucial that at industry level, companies, especially buyers, first-tier suppliers, and retailers create zero tolerance for child labor as a means of production. Businesses must strengthen strong governance, compliance, and transparency standards over the supply chains and suppliers' bases. They should also join initiatives that seek to address social issues like poverty, inadequate access to education, which are considered the root causes of child labor and forced labor.
The event of today stresses the importance of removing children from all forms of child labor, including hazardous work, and ensuring they have access to quality education and attend school regularly until they complete compulsory basic education and or reach the minimum legal age for work. Children should be in school, not at work.
The United Nations and the United States are concerned that $150 billion is generated annually in illegal profit from child labor and exploitation.
Nigeria is a source, transit, and destination countries for women, children subjected to forced labor and sexual trafficking, and it is a source country for men subjected to forced labor. Women and girls are victims of domestic servitude and sex trafficking, and boys are victims of forced labor in the street, in street vending, in domestic service, in mining, in stone quarrying, agriculture, textile manufacturing, and forced begging.
The commitment Nigeria is making today is an important message about leadership on these issues. But it is only the first part, a commitment to leadership. We also look for the second part, actions of leadership. I would like to make two suggestions. First, that we be bold and take actions of leadership in the next months, not years, where today's launch may become tomorrow's grounding. Second, that we develop a communication plan, and most importantly to the Nigerian people, the seriousness with which you are taking these issues. The powerful words you are speaking today will be heard by every single Nigerian, particularly those who are victims of these practices, and they will pray and demand that we all live up to them.
It calls on all of us to take immediate and effective measures to eradicate forced labor, modern slavery, and human trafficking, and eliminate the worst forms of child labor, including recruitment and use of child soldiers. I'm sure you can relate to this as we walk down the streets of Nigeria and see the examples of this everywhere. Children are working as beggars, street peddlers, and bus conductors, for example. For those living or visiting rural areas, you might find them in artisanal gold mines and the copper farms across the country. Less visible, perhaps, are the children working in domestic servitude, because these are working in people's homes. Needless to say, the urgency is there, and we're being reminded every day by these examples.
Both employers and labor in Nigeria agree that continuous exploitation of the Nigerian child is worsened by poverty and inequality.
We are assuring ourselves in this hall that this issue of forced labor, this issue of child abuse will not be there. This is a challenge that the Inspectorate Division of the Federal Ministry of Labor is supposed to take very, very seriously.
I wish to also commend the Nigerian government for the new 30,000 naira minimum wage given to the Nigerian worker, but to beg and urge them not to mess it up by bringing new policies that will still lead us back to poverty. Because if you bring out bad policies of increase in taxes, petroleum products, or whatever you have, it will mess up the 30,000 naira, and we go back to child labor. In fact, the worst forms of it.
The Alliance 8.7 is a sub-goal of the Goal 8 out of the 17 of the Sustainable Development Goals 2030 agenda. Abulu Osemwahu, ART